What is a construction project engineer? This video is for engineering students and those considering a career path in construction management. In this video, I'll go through an overview of the role, the typical role and responsibility of a construction project engineer, what people can get confused about construction project engineering, and the difference between a design engineer and a project engineer, why you should or shouldn't become a project engineer, 5 questions you can ask yourself if you're considering a career as a project engineer. The role of a construction project engineer is to coordinate, manage, and deliver construction works. They do this by working with internal and external stakeholders and applying construction project management skills to deliver a project. Project engineers are employed by both general contractors and subcontractors, and their goal is to get the job done under budget, ahead of schedule, and with zero harm. If you want to understand the job role and responsibility of a project engineer, the easiest way to do that is to go onto any job board or place where they post jobs and simply type in project engineer. From there, you'll be able to see clear position descriptions that explain the job roles and responsibility of a project engineer from the perspective of the company that would be employing you. You can see exactly what skills and qualifications people want. I looked up a couple, and the easiest way to summarize what a company is looking for when they employ a project engineer is construction project management skills. They want you to manage quality assurance and control, they want you to manage the schedule, they want you to understand the design and manage the design, and they want you to manage stakeholders. General contractors and subcontractors employ project engineers to deliver projects for them, and they do this by applying these skills. The number one thing people get confused about construction engineers and project engineers is that they are different to design engineers. People think a project engineer is the same as a design engineer. It is a completely different job. Design engineers develop drawings and specifications. Project engineers coordinate and manage construction works. Design engineers produce the drawings. Construction engineers implement the drawings. Project engineering is a project management job. The core skills you'll be applying are project management skills, as opposed to a design engineer whose core skills are their technical skills. There are several skills and qualifications you'll need to become a project engineer. Firstly, you need an engineering degree. So this could be civil, mechanical, electrical, or civil. And the type of engineering degree you study, your specialization as a project engineer. For example, if you studied electrical engineering like I did, you'll generally become an electrical project engineer. This doesn't mean you won't be involved in civil works. It'll just be that your base skill set will be electrical engineering. You also need typically some sort of safety accreditation. In Australia, we have a construction industry white card, and this is the government's tick of approval that you're safe to be on any sort of construction site. Other countries have different operational health and safety accreditations. Then you need your technical skills. So these are your technical engineering skills like electrical, civil, or mechanical that allow you to understand and read drawings, interpret them, and then construct them. In addition to the typical design engineer, you'll also need a good understanding of construction methods and methodologies. Next, you need construction project management skills. These are your skills to be able to produce and administer schedules, understand and read contracts, manage budgets. These are the fundamental project management skills that you'll use to complete projects successfully. You also need really good communication and people skills. A massive part of the job of a project engineer is coordinating the multiple stakeholders that are involved in any project. So as a project engineer, you'll liaise with the design team. When there's an issue with the design, the site personnel come up to you and ask what to do. That means you'll need to be able to raise an RFI, communicate with the design team. You'll also need to be able to communicate with subcontractors, you'll need to be able to communicate with the client, and you'll need to be able to communicate with external stakeholders. For example, if you're working on a road project, you'll cause a lot of disruption to the road network. You need to be able to manage these external stakeholders and work with them so you can get the works done. And finally, you need really good time management and organizational skills. The to-do list of a project engineer is always never ending. So you need to be able to prioritize and choose the important tasks that are going to result in project success. The career path of a construction engineer occurs in stages. So typically, when you graduate, you'll be classified as a graduate engineer. This is where you have between 0 and 2 years experience. And you'll basically do what all the other engineers and project management staff tell you. You'll be helping with the routine and mundane tasks like cost tracking, completing inspection and test check sheets, and overall helping with the administration. But it's an important stage of your career because you start to understand what goes into a project, you start to spend time on site and see how things are built. Once you have around 2 years of experience, you'll move from a graduate engineer to a site engineer. Site engineers, as the name suggests, are responsible with coordinating the works on site and checking things are done correctly. Those are the two primary roles of a site engineer. So coordinating all the works on site with a 3-week look ahead or short range program, and then checking that things are built correctly and to the correct quality standards. Their job heavily relies on being able to coordinate with the tradesmen and tradespeople. So for example, working with the foremen and supervisors to make sure everything that needs to get done in the short term on site gets done. After you've had a couple of years experience as a site engineer, you'll progress to the next stage, which is a project engineer. A project engineer is where you start to move away from the day-to-day coordination of the site work and spend more and more time in the office, looking at longer term schedules, budgets, but also managing subcontractors. So contract management becomes a much greater part of a project engineer's job. You'll generally have multiple subcontractors to manage, and you'll need to read and understand the contracts, understand their scope of works, and administer these contracts. You also need to review and approve payment claims. Overall, the job of a project engineer is much more office-based than a site engineer. Once you've had a couple of years of experience as a project engineer, you'll move on to becoming a senior project engineer. Senior project engineers lead teams of engineers to deliver overall packages of works. So while as a senior project engineer, you might have 2 or 3 project engineers reporting to you. Each of these project engineers will manage a package of works, and it's your job to manage them and help them resolve the big issues so that they can keep moving forward and getting the project done. After your experience as a senior project engineer, you'll then generally step up into senior project management and project leadership roles. So why should you become a project engineer? Why should you get onto a project engineering career path? It's exciting. You're not stuck in the office all day. You get to spend time on site working with a range of different people. And say as a design engineer, where you spend a lot of time on software preparing drawings, as a project engineer, you actually get to see things built. Also, you'll develop really good project management skills. Project management skills are incredibly transferable between industries and also incredibly in demand. By working for general contractors and major construction companies that specialize in delivering incredibly complicated projects, you develop a set of skills of how to deliver projects, how to manage projects, and you see it by doing it firsthand. You're not learning things in theory, you're learning them in practice. So you get to see what works and what doesn't work. These project management skills can then become the basis of your career. Another good reason to become a project engineer is it's an incredibly satisfying job. You get to see things built in reality. And after a project's finished, you can know that you made a significant contribution to seeing something created. And for me, that's an incredibly satisfying thing to be a part of. And then you just get to work with a lot of really great and interesting people. You work with so many different people on a construction project, from the tradespeople completing the work, to the client, to different stakeholders, to the design team. You just get to work with a really broad range of great people. And if you like working with people, then it's a perfect job for you. And then finally, project engineering is a really in-demand career. So you get great salary and great career trajectory. There are some massive downsides to being a project engineer that you need to consider if you're considering the career. The first is the work-life balance. Rather than working in the city and starting in an office job at 9 a.m, you'll be starting on site at probably more like 6:30 a.m. And then you'll need to be there all day till the work's finished, likely around 5 or 5:30, and if you have extra paperwork, you'll have to stay back. The projects aren't always in the same spot. So while you might get lucky enough to work on a project in the middle of the city, it's very likely you'll be working on a project a long way away, and you'll have to travel and potentially even relocate for work. It's an incredibly disruptive job for your life and your lifestyle. Next, it's chaotic and stressful. Construction projects always go wrong. Something always goes wrong on a project, something you don't think will happen, and it'll be your job to come up with a solution and resolve it. And it's stressful. If you struggle with dealing with a lot of chaos, a lot of unexpected things happening, having to think on your feet, you're probably not going to enjoy it. Another downside is there is a ton of administrative work. You would be surprised in the age of ChatGPT and AI how much of the work on a construction project gets done by filling out paper by hand, scanning it in, and filing it. Administration is a massive part of a project engineer's job, and while it's an unfortunate part of the job, if you find that really boring and always need to be doing something exciting, you will struggle with the more mundane aspects of the job. And now that's the thing some people find as a negative, but I never really did, is that you miss out on really truly mastering the design and technical skills that would have been more consistent with your original engineering degree. So what are 5 questions to ask yourself if you're considering a career as a construction project engineer? Number 1 is, do you prefer technical creativity or managing and administrating work? Number 2 is, what work environment suits you better? Do you prefer working in an office, or do you love being out and about on site and getting to spend lots of time out of the office? Number 3, what are your skills? Are you stronger technically, or are you much more of an organizer and manager? Number 4 is, what are your aspirations? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you want to be the expert on electrical engineering, or do you want to be managing a large project? And number 5, what are your priorities? Is your priority work-life balance, or is your priority salary and career trajectory? Only you can know the answer to these questions, but at least write them down, have a think about it, and try to make an informed decision. The earlier you get on a career path that suits where you want to go, the faster your career will move forward and the more job satisfaction you'll have. In conclusion, I hope this video gave you some important insights and it's helped clarify in your mind what sort of engineering career you want. For me, I started off working at a general contractor and absolutely loved it, because I always enjoyed more of the management and administration type work. I wasn't particularly strong technically, and I was lucky enough to fall into the perfect job for me. If I'd started as a design engineer, I think it's very, very likely I would have moved out of the engineering career, like a couple of my friends did. If you enjoyed this video, we're launching a series of talks on construction project engineering, and at our website, Construct IQ, we've also helped over 20,000 students accelerate their careers in construction project management by teaching the fundamentals. We teach the fundamental skills that you need to take your construction project engineering career to the next level.